New hot and iced sunrise batch coffee from Dunkin'. A bright and balanced, full-bodied blend brewed so you can get summering from sunrise to sunset. And even after that, because that's when you can show off those string lights you hung in the backyard. Or rehung. Enjoy a medium, hot or iced sunrise batch coffee for $2. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.
Welcome back, gamers. My name is Mark. I'm your host of the off weeks here at Budget Arcade, the #1 free-to-play podcast in the world. You heard that right. We are the #1 free-to-play podcast in the world. You can look it up. Google supports us. Encyclopedia Brown supports us. Can't fact check us because what are you going to fact check? You just got to trust that we're the #1 free-to-play podcast in the world. So in these off weeks, I, Mark, your host, take you on a journey of video game insight, video game news, video game reviews, what I've been playing, and spoiler alert, what I've been playing isn't anything good lately, so we're going to just go ahead and skip right on past that. But in this week, we're going to focus on a bit of news. And the news in the video game world in the past week and a half hasn't been great, gamers. It just hasn't been good. What I'm talking about specifically is this Activision Blizzard lawsuit filed by the California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing, which accused Activision Blizzard as, unequal pay practices, sexual assault allegations. It even mentions a frat boy-like culture, quote unquote frat boy, in the company. And so when those allegations came out about a week and a half ago, one of Activision's executives, the executive vice president of corporate affairs, Frances Townsend, came out and she delivered a very dismissive statement. The statement has then since come under fire. The Activision Blizzard CEO, Bobby Kotick, has since come out and kind of walked back the statement and has expressed in this news statement that Activision would now be working to change the culture of their company. And these allegations of workplace misconduct and just this very heavy misrepresentation of non-male workforce, I guess. And forgive me if I seem like I'm choosing my words carefully. It's because in the most part I am. I'm not trying to misspeak on anything here. I'm more or less talking about what I know. What has been reported about this story. And so if I seem a little discombobulated, please bear with me. I'm trying to get these thoughts out, and I'm trying to keep this episode under a clean 30 minutes. So I want to talk about what makes video game culture frat boy. Why is it that anytime video games are in the news for the wrong reasons, video games are created for the human population to have fun, to come together as a community, and to live vicariously through characters on a screen. And so you have these companies, and Activision and Blizzard, one company, are very well known for making great games. You know, your Modern Warfare, your World of Warcraft, your just these gigantic titles and franchises that are they were created for enjoyment purposes. And so when a story like this comes out and we're finding out that there are people at these companies that are treating other people unfairly and treating people with disrespect, and they're treating other people as if they are below them instead of working in a cohesive environment. And you know, here in America and wherever you're listening to this, I hope and I pray that you have a similar experience wherever you find employment. But here in America, it's law that we are given a safe work environment. And so when you aren't given a safe work environment, you're in violation of law, and the company is held liable, and the people that are violating that particular law, and it's federal law, so it doesn't matter the state that you're in, but those people can be held accountable civilly and criminally. And so when these allegations come about, and the company initially tries to downplay the allegations and sidestep accusations and just have this dismissive aura about them, that they just assume that it's going to be swept under the rug, is because, one, they're creating games that people are actively playing. Millions and millions of people are actively playing worldwide at one time. So they're assuming that it's going to get swept under the rug. So then when it doesn't get swept under the rug, then you have the CEO of the company coming out and saying, oh, hey, now, okay, so this is not going away, so maybe we are going to try to change some things. There's so much wrong with that. And that's an example of how a company from the outside perspective can seem like the best thing possible, because they're constantly creating games that not just games, but anything, creating something that the mass population finds so enjoyable. So we don't get, a peek behind the curtain. And so we just assume that everything's great and, everybody's loving going to work every day. And while I don't know if I've ever met anybody that enjoyed going to work every single day, I speak for myself, and I can say that I have a profession and a career where I legitimately do love going to work every day. Do I have bad days? Yes. Do I sometimes take my bad day out on the people that I encounter? Yeah, and that's not fair. But if I were to do some of the things that the people in Activision and Blizzard were accused of in a lawsuit, I would lose my career. And so, I think the bottom line is that we hold people accountable. And that's what these news organizations that are reporting on this, IGN, GameIndustry.biz, VG20, Video Game 24/7, all these media outlets that have brought to light some of the inner workings behind this lawsuit, they're doing great work, and we have to soak that up, and we can't let this slide. We can't let it go, and we have to demand better. And so, in the past week, since these accusations have come to light and the lawsuit has been made public, you saw developers and administrators from other publishers and developers across the world come out and support the people and the workers, the employees of Activision Blizzard. It's because it's typically not peer-to-peer misconduct, and if that is happening, then typically it's not hard to get rid of. And I'm speaking in a general sense, is because Human resources departments here in America are held to a certain standard. And, if something's brought to light to human resources by law has to investigate it. And during that investigation, if something is proven to be legitimate, then they have to take action. And that's typically a fireable action. Whoever, if you're, catcalling an employee at work, being a creep, just being a not good dude. And when I say dude, I'm using dude as a very generalized term. Dude can be a female as well. We had all these other developers and publishers and people on social media extend their support for these people working at Activision Blizzard. And then in the past week, they also staged a walkout. The employees of Activision Blizzard staged a walkout, and I guess in a show it was a show of, hey, we're not gonna take this story lightly. While some of them may have never been a part of the story, from what I've read, most of the employees have band together. Some have met each other for the first time at this walkout. Activision Blizzard is a very big company. They have hundreds of employees that probably never interact at all. They're just in different divisions. One side's in marketing, the other side's in game development, and then there's a third faction that are just made up of artists that are just drawing and doing storyboards, and then you have your higher level administrators. And so, from what I've read, most of this comes about from middle management, and just treating people unfairly because they don't happen to be men, or women in video games has always had a very oppressive arc that the public hasn't quite got on board yet. It seems like every time you see a female gamer on the internet, they're getting sexual comments in the comment section. Or if they got a Twitch stream, they got to mute the Twitch stream, is because they're getting too much of negative and sexual feedback. And just because they happen to be a female and they happen to be playing a video game, and cosplay, for as great as cosplay is, hasn't done that stereotype any favors. But at the same time, we have to be able to be individuals and express ourselves individually, and we have to be able to be accepted and not feel talked down to, shunned, oppressed, given, if an attractive person is wearing minimal clothing for a cosplay, that doesn't open them up to being treated unfairly or being treated, as a sexual object. That just means that they have found a niche in whatever, whatever avenue they've gone down. And that's kind of a separate tangent, I guess, but that's an aspect of gaming, is because a lot of cosplay deals with video games and video game characters, and so that's just an aspect, and that's where that frat boy culture comes in, is because the age-old stereotype of frat boys is that they come together under a frat, and it's typically younger male individuals, and just speaking as a white male, fraternities are typically white. They're not typically a minority group. They're typically white males, and the culture is that they use women as objects. And
there are so many reasons not to skip breakfast. So many savory, mouth-watering, tasty, delicious beyond all belief reasons. Actually, that last one was pretty convincing. Stop by for a McDonald's breakfast. Mix and match a sausage biscuit, sausage McMuffin, sausage burrito, or hash browns, any two for just $2. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
And, if you watch any movie about, fraternities, what's the Will Ferrell movie? So you got the movie Old School. You got the movie Animal House. Even like Revenge of the Nerds, older, 80s, 90s movies. But the stereotype is that these dudes they're not smart, they're dumb, and that they objectify women. And for the longest time, that's what the stereotype was. And I was never in a fraternity. If you were, great. Some fraternities, most fraternities, I should say, are not like that. But there are these fraternities that have, for a long time, have treated women poorly, have objectified them sexually, and that's where this fratboy term comes from. Is that they have Activision had this type of stereotypical culture inside the building amongst mid management, and you can see where, if that was the case, and if that's true, and these are all allegations, so we don't know if indeed they are true, but you can see where that would be a major problem for a company as big as Activision is, and as well known as Activision is, and as highly regarded as Activision, whether you're a fan of their games or not, they are 100% a huge video game company. So the employees staged a walkout. They had this walkout, and people showed their support from all over the world, and it was just this very come together, feel. And so then I started to see people on the internet, mainly in social media, Twitter, Facebook, come out and say that they were no longer going to support Activision Blizzard with their money. They were actually going to. These people were saying that they were going to take their money and they were going to spend it on another video game. They were no longer going to support Activision financially. That's great. That's great. And that's where it starts. And then I started seeing folks in our own Scott is one of them, saying that they were deleting all Activision and Blizzard games off of their devices. Well, that's cool. You do you. But what does that change? What is deleting something that you may have spent money on? Do? Does that change the culture? Does that change the perception? No, it may hurt. It may hurt the bottom line a little bit. But I guarantee you that Activision is going to come out of this okay. And that's not for a lack of trying, I guess, is that if the end goal is to bury Activision because they have these allegations of misconduct and sexual harassment and sexual assault and this frat boy like culture, then I don't know how much deleting something is going to do. And I saw it from a ton of people. I saw a ton of posts, and just this mantra of I'm not gonna support it by playing the game, and that's fine. But I guarantee you, their player base isn't taking the hit that you think it is. These games like Warzone aren't taking the hit like we wish they would. Is because I too would love to see Activision held accountable, and hopefully that's from the state of California. Hopefully the state of California, investigates this and finds this, and it's a lawsuit. It's a civil lawsuit, but hopefully something is proven to where Activision is held responsible for the way they mistreated their employees. But as gamers, how do we move past this and move forward and build on it? And how do we become more inclusive? I know as time goes on, gaming does become more inclusive. And we're seeing tons of support from video game companies for LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter. We're seeing support for all of that. But is it just surface level? Is it surface level support? And I think the answer is yes. It's because a company will only support something while it's in the limelight. And that's been proven time and time again. It's not 100%, but most companies, most bigger companies, I'm not talking about these small companies that have, they're vested in their communities. And Activision does give to charitable organizations. They do hold, different types of charitable drives at different times of the year. But that's what's expected of them. It's expected that these companies that are as big as Activision is to take a role in the community, but the community at large needs to demand better from them. And I think it does start with, monetary support. If the monetary support weans a bit and takes a dip, then they see, hey, it's affecting our bottom line now. How do we change it? We demand better from their representatives. The original statement that came out about these allegations was described as tone deaf from everybody. And it wasn't. I encourage you to go and read it because it just comes across as completely dismissive of the allegations. And it wasn't until Bobby Kotick came and actually addressed the actual allegation and said that things were going to change did the tone kind of shift from Activision being defensive to Activision saying, yeah, we messed up. As a company, our culture isn't where we want it to be. And so we're gonna move towards that. And it's hard. I've been a part of organizations that are very large, and it's hard to change culture when you have hundreds of, maybe thousands of employees, across the globe, really. It's hard to change culture. And so that's where, as a community of gamers, we need to push it forward. We need to push the momentum to change not only Activision, but to hold every other publisher and developer accountable for the things that they're doing that are open, that we can see, and the things that we may not know about. We need, and I don't know what kind of unions exist for video game companies. I don't know. I'm not even sure if there is. But if there isn't, that might be the first step. Is that these video game company or publishers and employees get representation. And I know this is Budget Arcade, and we're talking about free to play. Or we typically talk about free-to-play podcasts or video games. I wanted to take this time, and I'm right about 25 minutes, and it'll be cut down, so this episode is not going to be very long, and that's by design. The longer I drone on about it, the longer I probably stick my foot in my mouth. But I tell you what, if as gamers we demand more of these companies that we fund, the culture will change. It won't have a choice. If we're paying $60 for a game, and we're paying $500 for a console, and we're paying $20 a month for a subscription service, then damn, we got the right to say, hey, you better treat people fair, and you better treat people as human beings, and you better treat people as equals. It's just because that person's a man and that other person's a woman doesn't mean that man needs to make more than that woman. Or just because that person is white and that person is black doesn't mean that white person gets more opportunity than that black person. And so with your monetary support, and I'm not saying you stop playing these games, it's because gaming is an escape. Gaming is 100% an escape. There's a lot of bad shit going on in this world right now, and we need all the help we can get. So with your monetary support, you demand more. And if it's via social platforms, if it's via writing your representatives, I mean, that sounds like a big task. That sounds like a very adult thing to do, but that's how you enact change. And you hold pressure to the people that you're funding. And each and every one of you listening has funded a publisher and a developer and a mega company in the video game world at some point in time. I know this is a free-to-play video game podcast, but we've all bought games. And we've all paid a large amount of money for this escape that we call video gaming. And so we need to hold these folks accountable. And so I hope that in the past 20 minutes I didn't lose you. And I hope that you found something in what I said to be honest, because everything I just said was completely off the top. I don't talk off script or off of a script. I talk off script. If you've listened to any podcast from Budget Arcade, you'll know that I'm very real when it comes to these to any topic, and I don't mince words too much. And so I apologize for the little bit of language that I used just a minute ago. Not sure if it's going to get bleeped or not. I'm not going to bleep it. Scott can. But let's hold these companies accountable. Let's enact the change. Let's start what we can do. And I'm not telling you to delete anything off your system. And I'm not telling you to stop playing a game because a company has bad culture. I'm telling you that you can enact change in very small ways. So do the things you can do. Be good people. Next week, we're playing Splitgate. It is out on consoles. I believe it's also on PC, maybe. I don't know. But play along with us. If you are interested, join our Discord. If you would like to support the show, you can donate to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/budgetarcade. That's probably not right, but you can find us. Just Google Patreon Budget Arcade. And you can join a pretty cool collection of individuals that have supported the podcast and continue to support the podcast. Our Discord is always open. Find all of us there. Me, Scott, Jeff, Elliot. Anybody you've heard on this podcast before is in the Discord. So don't be shy. And you can find us on Twitter, Budget Arcade. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. We're on all of them. So just search Budget Arcade. And you can follow me at my personal Twitter is I heard you liked. And that's where you can find some of my unfiltered stuff. But once again, this has been Budget Arcade, and I hope this episode didn't find you too gloomy, but it's real stuff. So don't worry about the gray shade over the podcast. Sometimes difficult topics need to be brought up. So we will catch you next week when we play Splitgate. If you play along with us and you're part of our Discord, you can offer up some commentary, and we'll read it here on the show. And our music is provided by Stimage. And you can find the links to his music in our show notes, and we'll catch you next week.